All right, now to the Middle East, where today President Trump will hold a cabinet meeting at the White House to decide the next steps in negotiations with Iran. It comes as the regime condemns Monday's strikes against the country as a show of bad faith, while the U.S. military says those strikes were defensive. Joining us now, national security policy analyst Andrew Harding. Andrew, thank you so much for joining us. So the president is convening this cabinet meeting later today to talk about the Iran war and next steps. What do you think will come of this meeting?
Well, good morning, Carly. I expect President Trump will make very clear to the cabinet just how successful his peace through strength approach has been on Iran and how it's delivering results. We've seen the success of Operation Epic Fury in degrading Iran's military, economic fury in crippling the Iranian economy, and what you could call diplomatic fury in ensuring that Iran is finally coming to the table with meaningful proposals while the U.S. coordinates with its allies and partners. Combined, this is maximizing American leverage to ensure that Iran is unable to get a nuclear weapon. So I think the president will be able to align the administration and his cabinet on what the next steps will be like, and this is net preferable when the administration is talking about specific details on what an agreement would look like, rather than Iran sending such horrible counterproposals in which the president throws them out after reading the first sentence. So I think this will ensure that the cabinet officials are fully aligned on what the president is doing to ensure that Iran cannot get a nuclear weapon and that American security interests are protected.
What do you make of Iran laying mines as these heightened negotiations continue?
Well, I think it's a foolish move in which they're playing with fire. And if they get too dangerous, President Trump may return fire. I think President Trump has been very patient with Iran and has made very clear that he wants to pursue diplomacy and is willing to see it through as long as possible. But the president has also made clear that the United States will only accept a good deal, and they're willing to walk away from a deal if it doesn't advance that. And instead, the president continues to ensure that the U.S. military is ready to respond at a moment's notice. And that's the correct approach to maximize American leverage here. So Iran needs to be careful unless it's going to risk having President Trump move back from diplomacy and take military action to ensure that Iran cannot threaten American interests.
So Iran reportedly wants $24 billion in frozen funds to be released as part of any deal with the U.S. The obvious concern there would be that that would not go to the Iranian economy. That would go directly into supporting terror proxies. Should releasing frozen funds be part of any eventual deal?
Well, any type of deal is going to come down to if Iran is willing to give up the enriched uranium that poses the greatest threat to American national security. The president has rightly ensured that the top priority of this entire operation with Iran is to prevent it from getting a nuclear weapon. If Iran is able to do this, then everything comes down to conditionality, in which, as we know with Iran, it's very difficult to trust this regime, and they have a horrible track record with following through. So the president, rightly, while pursuing a deal, is not going to just trust Iran, but rather he's going to verify with every single step in action that Iran follows through. So only at that point can we really consider what concessions or willingness the U.S. can work with Iran. First and foremost, Iran has to be willing to work on the nuclear enrichment issue and ensure that it does not pursue a nuclear weapon.
I want to bring up this Fox News digital piece right now that says Iran Supreme Leader Mujtaba Khamenei would have to approve any final deal with the U.S. through secret courier networks while remaining in hiding as a, quote, designated target. The unprecedented arrangement, they claimed, means Washington is negotiating a high-stakes accord with an entirely invisible counterparty. There has been this push and pull between the IRGC and other members of the Iranian government over what to do, what decisions to make. What about this when it comes to a final negotiation and closing these terms when we don't even know who we are really negotiating with?
Well, I believe President Trump is confident that he's negotiating, whether it's with the leader through different envoys that are bringing information in, or through different, let's say, the Speaker of the Parliament or other individuals in Iran, that whoever is working with the president does have authorities to indicate what Iran is willing to do. Now, you're right, there is an ongoing battle with the IRGC and the different leaders in Iran, so it's very much something to monitor. And again, it's why we can't just trust Iran. We have to make sure that anything they commit to in writing or verbally or whatever it may be is verified through actions that the U.S. can enforce. So I think the president is confident that he's working with some people in Iran to get a deal across the line, but until actions are verified, the words are going to be very little.
And we'll be monitoring that cabinet meeting that's set to take place later today at the White House and see what comes of that. Andrew Harding, thank you so much for joining us, for your time and your expertise. As always, we appreciate it. Have a great morning.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.